An island showed up on maps for over a century, then suddenly vanished. But it kept showing up on Google Earth for decades. Mururoa looks normal on one side but is blurred out on the other, and just so happens to be the site of over 180 nuclear tests and guarded by the French military. And NASA's satellite technology accidentally exposed a 10,500-year-old lost city in a place that you are definitely not expecting. These towns vanished from satellite images. Sandy Island was real. Or at least everyone thought it was. See, it showed up on maps for over a century. Not anymore though. Back in 1774, Captain James Cook charted an island in the Coral Sea off the coast of New Caledonia. Then in the late 1800s, a whaling ship called Velocity claimed that they saw some sandy islets and waves breaking like there was land just under the surface. And from that point on, it ended up on maps from multiple countries. But here's the weird part. By the 70s and 80s, government mapping crews from France and Australia went out to the location and found that there was nothing there. These were professional survey teams called hydrographic teams, whose job is to map coastlines and ocean floors for navigation. They used sonar and other tools to scan the area, and they found nothing but deep, open ocean, over 4,000 feet deep in places. So they removed the island from their official charts. But right around that time, maps were starting to go digital, and a US mapping database called World Vector Shoreline copied older paper charts, the ones that still had Sandy Island on them. That bad data got passed along into systems used by scientists, governments, even Google Earth and NASA. So even though the island was deleted from real-world charts, stuck around in digital form for decades. It wasn't until 2012 that a team of Australian scientists sailing through the area noticed the island was on their map, but not in front of their eyes. There was just nothing there. It was just deep ocean. One of them even said the ocean floor didn't even get shallower than 1,300 meters. After that, Google, National Geographic, and others finally erased Sandy Island for good. But still, it makes you wonder, what were sailors seeing way back in the 17 and 1800s? Mururoa is a tiny island in the middle of nowhere, part of French Polynesia, and if you look it up on Google Maps, you'll notice something weird about it. One half of the island looks totally normal. The other half is this smudged out, blurry mess like someone took a Sharpie to it. And why is that the case? Well, there's no official explanation. Most people think it has everything to do with what went down here for decades though. Nuclear testing. Between 1966 and 1996, France used the place to run over 180 nuclear tests. Everyone always comments that I say nuclear wrong. They're like, it's nuclear, not nuclear. Who the f cares? Anyway. Some of the blasts were absolutely massive, up to 200 times more powerful than the Hiroshima bomb. Greenpeace once claimed that radioactive contamination from the tests spread across the Pacific, reaching places like New Zealand and the coast of Peru. And because of all this, the island's been off limits for years, and it's still guarded by the French military. Alright, so you can't go there, but still, why is it all blurred? Well, back in 2018, the French government asked Google to censor all their prisons after a famous criminal used Google Maps to help break out of a jail near Paris via helicopter. So if they're censoring jails, not a stretch to think a nuclear testing site guarded by troops would get the same treatment. Alright, I don't even think this one fully fits on the list, to be honest, but it's just so damn weird I had to put it on here. When we think of lost cities being discovered, obscured by dense trees in the middle of nowhere, we usually imagine the Amazon, right? But this old lost city was just found in Oklahoma. NASA's satellite gear accidentally helped uncover a lost ancient city that had been hiding under thick forest near the Beaver River. It's believed to be around 10,500 years old, which makes it one of the oldest known settlements in the United States. The site was found using LiDAR, which is a laser scanning technology that basically strips away trees and brush in 3D scans so researchers can see what the land actually looks like underneath. One archaeologist described it as creating a, quote, bare earth version of the land, which helped reveal subtle shapes that were totally invisible from the ground. The technology isn't going to point out exact, bones or ruins, but it does help narrow things down. Remote sensing expert Meg Waters said, "You'll never find bison bones with airborne LiDAR, but you can find the geological features that suggest a place to look." And that's exactly what happened. Archaeologist Lee Bement explained it helped save them a lot of time and effort. A lost city in Oklahoma. I was not expecting to ever talk about that. Montana is full of ghost towns, but the story of Langville has to be one of the strangest. So the story goes that there was this town called Langville that just vanished overnight, gone without a trace. People say Langville actually appeared on Google Maps for a while, but when folks tried to find it in real life, there was nothing there. And I mean, not like there were old abandoned buildings, I mean there was nothing at all. The town's been searched over 7 million times online, 7,000,001 after I looked it up today. There are tons of conspiracy theories about this place. Some go that Langville was erased, like someone wiped all the data and photos from the internet. As for why, we don't know. There are also spooky stories about the townspeople disappearing in a bizarre, horrifying way. One popular creepy story is that some sort of dark force turned the people inside out, whatever that means. And of course, there's no proof of any of this. The town's become an urban legend. Maybe it was just an urban legend to begin with, but maybe not. This next one is a complete inversion of what we've been talking about. Instead of a real town vanishing from satellite maps, this was a town that only ever existed on the map. Back in the late 2000s, if you looked at Google Maps near the village of Aughton in West Lancashire, England, you'd see a place called Argleton. It was marked just like any other town, looked official, it had a name label, it appeared in search results, weather apps showed forecasts for it. Online directories listed businesses that supposedly were located there. But if you went to the spot in real life, all you'd find is open fields. Argleton was a mysterious phantom town. And after a university staffer nearby blogged about it in 2008, things snowballed. People started sharing ghost stories and conspiracy theories online. Was this some sort of decoy for a government test site nearby? Was there really a town that had somehow disappeared into thin air? Well, this was most likely a copyright trap, something called a paper town. So this is when map makers deliberately add a fake street, town, or a landmark to a map. It's a way to catch other companies copying their maps without permission, so that if a fake place shows up in someone else's map, the original creator knows that they got ripped off. That's kind of cool. I never knew that was a thing. Google eventually deleted this place from the map in 2010. Jeannette Island is a tiny Arctic island in the Russian part of the Arctic Ocean, and suddenly it disappeared from Google Maps. Instead of showing the island, there was just a solid black blob covering the area, which led to all sorts of conspiracy theories. Some claimed the island was hiding an alien base or a secret military facility. Explorers eventually traveled to the island to see what was going on, and they confirmed that Jeannette Island definitely still exists. There's nothing secret or missing on the ground, according to them. But why the blackout on Google Maps? Well, they've never said. Some people think it was just a glitch or a data error, but others wonder if there's a real deliberate effort being made to keep this place hidden. Tantauco Park sits on a remote island in Chile. It's packed with thick forests and some very rare animals, like the endangered Darwin's fox. For the longest time, the park wasn't even on Google Maps. There was no pin, there weren't any photos, nothing. Then out of nowhere, it popped back on the map, but you still can't explore it with street views. So why is that? Well, one theory is that it was kept off maps on purpose to keep poachers and tourists from interfering with the wildlife. There's no official explanation, but Chile has been strict about conserving natural reserves. The park's wild, it's pretty hard to reach, it's full of endangered species like I said, so hiding it online kind of makes sense. The whole Ohio is a weird place meme really lives up to its reputation on this channel, doesn't it? Beatosu and Goblu showed up on an official Michigan state map in the late 70s. They were marked somewhere in Ohio, but anyone who tried to find them on the ground came up empty. There were no roads, there were no buildings, it was just open land. So what the hell was going on here? First, the name themselves. They're kind of odd. Well, Beatosu is a reference to Beat OSU. Goblu split up is Go Blue. Both are slogans from University of Michigan fans cheering against their big rival, Ohio State. Turns out this whole thing was a prank by a man named Peter Fletcher, a graduate from the University of Michigan, running the State Highway Commission at the time. After some friendly teasing about Michigan's bridge colors, he slipped these fake towns into the official map just for laughs. The maps with Beatosu and Goblu were only printed for a short time, but they've since become collector's items. And for all you G.I. Joe fans out there who didn't know why your Road Pig action figure supposedly came from a strange and mysterious town called Goblu, now you know. Next up, we have Valencia. Not Valencia, Spain. There's also a Valencia in the Philippines. It's home to over 160,000 people, but if you try to zoom in on Google Earth, you'll find the city's been pixelated and blurred out. Why? Well, nobody knows for sure, but it's believed Valencia is the base for some of the Philippines' top secret government missile testing and defense programs. Obviously, the government wants to keep things under wraps for security reasons, so digital maps don't show the city clearly. That wouldn't be unusual. I mean, lots of countries block out or blur military sites on Google Maps, but what makes Valencia interesting is that the whole city is affected. Even though it's a real busy place, the pixelation definitely adds this weird, secretive vibe. And of course, we gotta talk about the star of the show, Bermeja Island. It showed up on maps as far back as the 1500s, somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico, but over the years, the island just disappeared from modern maps and charts. Mexico sent ships in 1977 and again in 2009 to find it, and no luck. The island simply isn't there. Some folks say Bermeja was deliberately erased from maps because it sits near valuable oil reserves, and controlling its location would affect who owns what. Others think maybe it never really existed and a cartographer just made a mistake all those years ago. Some think the island sank. What do you think though? Did it sink? Was it hidden? Or was it never even real to begin with? I've been your host, James. I'll catch you, yes you specifically, in the next video.